This is your number one tool for growing your podcast, whether short-term or long-term. I've been on so many podcasts and I've coached other podcasters, and they're usually missing this one thing, which is wild to me because it's one of the absolute most important things. Think about this. What if you went to war without a weapon? Or you went to war with, Nerf guns instead of real ones? It wouldn't work out very well, would it? Well, that's what a lot of podcasters do. What do I mean by this? Here's the deal. Did you know that other than the physical weapon in your hand, the most important weapon you can have on a battlefield is not actually only the weapon in your hand, but there's one other thing that if you actually don't have a weapon in your hand, one other thing will actually save you, completely save you. I'm Brian Fleming, by the way. I'm the founder of the Podgasm Marketing Podcast, where I show you how to say what you do on your podcast and in your titles and all that, so your podcast will grow by getting the right people to show up, subscribe, and listen to it. Look, I served years ago with the U.S. Army's 10th Mountain Division while fighting the ground war in Afghanistan. And other than our physical weapons in our hands, there was one thing that absolutely mattered, and it made the difference. And if we didn't have it, well, things could have ended clearly, and I might not be making this video right now. And it's the same thing for your podcast. And by the way, if you haven't done so already, go grab the free Speak Your Listeners Language PDF. It's 3 pages, and it's simple. I mean, there's only 1 page really of the actual tips I have that will help you speak the language of your ideal listeners, so more of the right people will show up and listen to your podcast. Go grab it right now. There's a link in the description, or go to podgasmshow.com. So here's the deal. One of the most important things, the most important thing in this case, in my opinion, as a professional speaker and copywriter for over 17 years, this is my opinion, your ability to communicate value clearly. Your ability to communicate clearly is one of the most important things you can do on your podcast. And not just communicate anything, but communicate the right thing. See, on a battlefield, if I didn't have a weapon, do you know what I'd want to have? A microphone. A radio, some sort of device to communicate so I can call in reinforcements. I need to be able to tell them where I'm at, what the conditions are, what I need, and figure out where I can meet them so they can come to my rescue and save me. It's the ability to communicate that will save you, that will prosper you, especially with your podcast. So think about this. Is your message clear? Do you have a clear and compelling, very simple and strong brand message for your podcast? If you can't say it in one sentence, you've heard me say this before, you don't understand it and you don't have it. So for example, with this podcast, the Podgasm Marketing Podcast, what do? I show you how to say what you do so more of the right listeners will show up and subscribe to your podcast. That's simple. You know if I'm for you, and you know if I'm not for you. And that's perfect. I don't want everybody in the world listening to this podcast. I want the right people. I want people who are starting new podcasts and they have a message that matters to them, which is why they put in all the time and all the money and everything to start that thing and all the effort. But I don't want to just have them watch it crash and burn because they did all these external things right, but they didn't have a clear and compelling message that got people's attention and drew them in and made them want to listen. So look, I take on a few clients every single month, just a few, because it takes quite a bit of work for me. I take on a very limited number of clients every month. But if you want me to look at your podcast and write your podcast branding messaging for you, I'm talking titles, descriptions, the about, so it's all dialed in. If you want me to do all that mental work for you, that's what I do. I'm not good at everything in life, but I'm a word nerd. As a professional speaker and a copywriter for almost 20 years, I know what I'm doing when it comes to words that make people want to buy or make a decision to listen. To compel people to make a decision to listen. That's what I do. So if you're interested or you just want to look into it, send me an email at podgasmshow@gmail.com. You'll see it here on the screen. And let me look at what you're doing. Because look, here's the deal. You can have the best camera, the best microphone, the best platform, all that stuff, do all the editing. You can do all of this. But if nobody knows what the hell your podcast is about, or why they should come back and listen to it, or what clear problem you're addressing for them and helping them solve, and what outcomes you're going to help them get that they already want and they're looking for, you're going to fizzle out. Your podcast is going to fade. Like every business And every other thing out there that needs, every other podcast out there that needs a clear message and it doesn't have one, yours is going to meet that same fate. So here's the deal. Just have me look at it. I'm happy to look at it. And if you want to work together, we can work something out maybe. I only take a few clients a month, but shoot me an email at podgasmshow@gmail.com and let's see what we can do together. I'm glad to help you out.